This is a regular meeting. The Board of School Trustees of Lebanon School Corporation will meet regularly in session at 7 p.m. At Lebanon High School. This meeting is a meeting of the school board and the public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have several Tiger Pride recipients here that we are asking if you could come forward and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have roll call. All members are present, so we have a quorum. Mission statement, Mrs. Jones.
Lebanon Community School Corporation will cultivate and reach every student by influencing and enriching their lives through the power of education, and do so in a positive and safe learning environment.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of minutes for January 17th, 23 meeting. We all received in our packet. We have a motion to approve those.
I'll move.
Mr. Clauser? Do I have a second? Mrs. Hutchison? Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have superintendent's announcements and celebrations.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. I had very few announcements and celebrations last time. I do have a few items to share with you this evening. First, want to congratulate several solo and ensemble students from our instrumental music department. We had 14 students qualify for state solo and ensemble contest held at North Central High School. I remember it well from my high school days. We had 9 solos and 2 ensembles. Congratulations to the students there. Some milestones, recent milestones for our wrestling program. We had 7 wrestlers that advanced to regional this year. One of our wrestlers advanced to semi-state, which has been the most that we've advanced in quite some time, and I was able to go and watch them take down a few of their opponents and enjoyed that very much. It was a great following and great program, so congratulations to them. Wanted to draw everyone's attention to our upcoming spring play, which will take place prior to our next school board meeting. The theater department is performing the play, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime.
Great.
Yes, sounds intriguing. On March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, so I encourage you to attend, as I will be making one of those performances as well. And they work very, very hard, as you know, in that. I'm shared with the board in your background notes that we do have, we received word last week that Miss Ella Johnson has now been named a National Merit Scholar, which is quite an honor. It puts her in the upper 1% of all national test takers of the PSAT. So what that really means for her is puts her in the running for scholarship money with that top 1%. So congratulations. You may recall she and Gabe Shores were recognized as merit scholars, but Ella is now a national merit semifinalist, which is a huge accomplishment. So congratulations to her. Put in the board packet some interesting information that was shared recently by the Department of Education. Was the Gallup poll of parents of students in Indiana schools. I've been following this poll for many years when it was a poll across the country, and it still is, of public school parents' perceptions of their school. But this breaks it out based on Indiana parents, and just shared some information for the board. The entire summary is in your packet as well, but just a couple data points I found interesting, that the majority of our Indiana parents are very satisfied with their child's schools. 90% of those parents in K-6 83% in grades 7 and 8, and 86% of the students, or parents of students in Indiana schools are satisfied. Most parents know and approve of the subjects and topics taught at their child's school. Concerns about child safety are the highest among our several of our parents in Indiana, especially in the region, as is pointed out. So that was indicative through our positive results in our operating referendum, as you know, to keep our schools safe through maintaining our school police department. Parents are still struggling with finding the finances to send their kids to college, even though they know that those opportunities are out there once they do go. So just several data points that I'm sharing with the board, and anyone who might like a link to that, we can certainly share that, but it is on the Department of Education website, and I encourage you to go out and see some of the data points. But it really was heartening to see that we were addressing many of the things that the parents in Indiana identified as things that they find important in their child's education. Happy to report to the board that everyone that I've invited to be a member of the new elementary school naming committee has agreed to do so. So we'll be reaching out in the next few weeks and formulating that group according to the newly adopted board policy. Mr. Hendricks and I will be co-chairing that committee. Susie Boyette is on that committee. She's with us here this evening as well. Marta Williams, teacher at Hattie B. Stokes. Kim Larman, teacher at Central. Mary Dickerson, assistant principal at Perry Worth Elementary. Jerry Bohannon, who is a former elementary school administrator and has served in 3 separate elementary schools during his time here in Lebanon, will be part of the committee as well. And then former school board member Jane Myers has agreed to be on that group as well. So we'll be reaching out to that group and working on that important project of naming that new elementary school. So stay tuned on that work. Some legislative updates this time around. As we know, the legislative session is in full swing downtown in Indianapolis. We thank our partners at the School Boards Association, Superintendents Association, Indiana School Business Officers Association for staying engaged with legislators, making sure that our wants and desires for our kids are known to our legislators, but bringing your attention, board, to some things in your packet. Referendum ballot questions are back on the topic, so I encourage you to take a look at the Senate Bill 224 and House Bill 1454, which both deal with referendum ballot question language. We know what that struggle was that we were dealing with back in May, so that's back on discussion. The Senate Bill 397, there's language that is being proposed by Senator Buchanan, who represents our school district on the Senate. Indiana Economic Development Corporation is the group that is purchasing or has purchased some property, and in the process of that around Lebanon. It's involved potentially with the LEAP project that you're hearing so much about through our city council. There's some provisions in the law surrounding that about mandatory pass-through of tax dollars to both the municipality and the school district when it's located in property that's been purchased by this development corporation. There are still many unanswered questions. Mr. Dennis and I have been engaging with both Senator Buchanan and members of the IEDC, and we thank Senator Buchanan for proposing some language to kind of help clarify that. But I do encourage you, as you're looking at these bills, to take a look at 397. It's not one you're going to see on your weekly updates from the School Board Association, because it's only affecting 2 school districts right now in Indiana, which is Western Boone and us. That's the only location that the IEDC is engaged. So I did want to bring your attention to that, and we are working very hard with our partners on that. Another one that is important for the school board to take a look at is House Bill 1499. This bill is one being championed by the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Representative Thompson, proposing to cap what school boards are able to levy once they passed an operating referendum. Sound familiar? We just passed an operating referendum. So you go to your community and explain what you will be levying and how that will be adjusted as the assessed valuation in your community continues to hopefully rise. In our case, it has. This legislation proposes to cap that regardless of whether your AV rises. So it would be the legislator saying, even though your AV grew by this much, you cannot levy more than this much. Simplifying the bill, but there's some, that's the gist of what it is. So it is a very important bill for school districts who have just passed operating referendums, so you kind of see what that is. Mr. Dennis continues to get updates from the School Business Officers Association on what that would mean for us. And of course, House Bill 1001, which is always the budget bill, right? And the House Republicans did unveil their first plan, emphasized first plan of the budget bill today. It will go through many iterations in the House and then many more in the Senate before it would become actual law. But we did get some of our first look at what that might mean. So HB 1001 will always be the one that we're looking at first and foremost. That's a lot for you this evening, but I also wanted to kind of speak publicly about some of those bills because they do affect our school corporation. There's several bills circulating that are very important to us, and encourage the board to stay engaged and obviously ask us questions if you have that. And that, I think, is my announcements and celebrations for this evening.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is always the most fun one. It's the Tiger Pride. Mrs. Scott.
Thank you. We're excited to be here to recognize our February Tiger Pride champions, our students in 5th, 8th, or 12th grade who have been nominated by their school administrators and teachers for demonstrating persistence, respectfulness, initiative, dependability, and efficiency in and outside of the classroom. We will begin this evening by recognizing one of our two Lebanon High School Tiger Pride champions for February, Miss Johara El-Shahat. Johara embodies the ideals of pride in all that she does. The staff at LHS shares that she's intelligent, responsible, hardworking, friendly, welcoming, and very determined. She cares about her peers and the community as a whole, as evidenced by her internship placement and desire to pursue a bachelor's and master's degree in the field of social work. Johara is an actively involved student who makes it a priority to lead and serve. She has started 2 clubs while at LHS and is a class council member and a leader of the LHS Student Ambassadors, Thirst Project, National Honor Society, and our award-winning show choir. There is no doubt that LHS is a better place because of Johara. It is our pleasure to celebrate her as a Tiger Pride champion. Congratulations. I was gonna. Oh, I do. Sam, I apologize. I just recognized that I missed a picture on my update. I'm so sorry. I got the right names. I'm so sorry about that. We celebrated him in December, so I apologize about that, Sam. As a reminder, too, as we're going through, all parents are more than welcome to take pictures with Dr. Milliman and the student as we recognize them as well, too. I apologize for that reminder. Too many things tonight. Mr. Piper, the one that we have present, not on the photo, is our next Lebanon High School Tiger Pride champion. The staff shared that Sam consistently represents all aspects of pride in all that he does as he is as an actively involved student athlete. Sam is a very intelligent and hardworking young man, as evidenced by his 4.5 weighted GPA, his class rank of 6 out of 254 seniors, and the rigorous academic schedule that he is taking. However, Samuel is more than a high-achieving student in the classroom. He is caring and compassionate towards others. He is introspective and often listens to others before he speaks. Has a sincere servant leader disposition. He is a 3-sport athlete at the high school as a member of the cross-country, swimming, and track teams, in addition to being a talented musician in the band, and is very involved in several school clubs and organizations. The high school staff recognizes and appreciates Samuel for the way he treats others with genuine respect and concern. Congratulations for being recognized as this month's Tiger Pride champion. Oh, both of you.
There you go.
Next up, we have Ellie Cooper from Lebanon Middle School, and she's unable to be with us this evening due to athletic commitments, but I still want to share the words that the swag team at the middle school spoke about Ellie. Ellie is an amazing young lady who demonstrates Tiger pride on a daily basis. She shows initiative and dependability through her work through PBIS. She routinely asks what she can do to help with PBIS and does it right the first time. Ellie is also very respectful to her fellow students, teachers, and staff at Lebanon Middle School. Ellie is very involved in sports and 4-H. Even though she is busy most nights of the week with some activity, Ellie completes all of her assignments on time and regularly does well on tests and quizzes. Ellie's teachers appreciate her quiet manner and infectious smile. Keep up the hard work, Ellie. Congrats. Also representing Lebanon Middle School from the Bulldog team is Stephen Rascala. Stephen is the epitome of pride. He works hard, advocates for himself, and is consistent in achieving excellence in his work. He is very considerate of everyone around him, showing respect and kindness to all. He is a conscientious worker that has lofty goals that the Bulldog team is confident he will rise to achieve. Stephen is a student that everyone loves and cheers for to succeed. We are very proud to recognize Stephen as a Tiger Pride champion. Now on to the elementary. Representing 5th grade at Central is Jamie Creek. Jamie is an outstanding student that continues to strive for excellence. Jamie synergizes with any and every one of his peers. His think win-win attitude proves he is a true team player and is willing to influence and develop a deeper understanding of others. Jamie prioritizes his most important goals instead of constantly reacting to things that are out of his circle of control. Congratulations, Jamie. You deserve it. From Harney, we have Grayson Smallfelt. Grayson is consistently showing pride in and out of the classroom every single day. He works hard, and you can always count on him to be doing the right thing, even when an adult isn't present. Grayson's work ethic is outstanding, even when things start to become a challenge. He is always a helping hand, kind, respectful, and organized student. Grayson doesn't just take pride in his schoolwork, but also how he treats others and how others look up to him. Way to go, Grayson. Keep it up. From Hattie B. Stokes, we have Jada Sweat. Jada demonstrates pride daily at Hattie B. Stokes. In addition to focusing on her own learning, she spends time tutoring others in math and writing, plus she's a leader in the Math Challenge group. Jada shows initiative in her learning and does not give up when presented with a challenge. She comes to school ready to learn and shows responsibility for herself as well as her learning club. Jada keeps her desk, binder, and assignments organized. She turns in her assignments on time and works hard to meet her weekly goals. She's a joy to be around and is the embodiment of a Tiger Pride champion. Congrats. And rounding out our Tiger Pride champions tonight, we have Hudson Howard from Perry Worth. Mr. Christopher shared that Hudson is a student that he can always depend on. He is always willing to help with anything that is needed in or out of the classroom daily. Actually, we can attest to that because when Dr. Millman and I visited, he was actually outside helping sort the materials that had just come delivered, and it was exciting to see him at work. We had to draw him back into the classroom so we could recognize him. He also shared that he puts his best effort into everything he does academically. Hudson is a friend to every student that he meets, always willing to support others or help them in any way. He goes the extra mile for people every chance he gets. Hudson's reason for wanting to join Student Services this year captures his heart best. I want to show other students at Perry Worth how to be good students by helping others. Then they will know how to help others too. Thank you, Hudson, for inspiring all of us with your kind-hearted attitude. Congratulations.
No, you want to make one announcement before we release all them, I think
Yes.
One
Yeah.
one additional item
Yes,
that
and I
may
apologize.
affect the parents, might hear different.
Well, yes.
New
it's
voice,
true.
right?
Yeah, for sure. I was remiss. I apologize to our new member of our team, but during your consent agenda that we're going to be looking at here recently, or in the next agenda items, I wanted to announce that we are recommending one of our alum this evening for the position of Director of Communications for Lebanon Schools. That is Lexi Britt Buis. She is a graduate of Lebanon High School, and I wanted to recognize her because sometimes when we get to this point in the agenda, our friends may want to go do homework before we get to the business part of the agenda. But if you have a weather delay or some announcement that might be coming your way in the near future, you're going to hear a new voice pending the board's approval later in the meeting this evening. And so wanted to put a face with that so the family could see our potential new director of communications this evening. So thank you for that.
With that, I know it's riveting for all the students, but if you're more than welcome to stay. But you can also we'll break for a short bit so you can exit if you wish to go home and work on homework.
Yeah.
Homework.
Homework.
With that, we'll go ahead on to item number 5, informational items, school construction update.
You're up, Mr. Rosillo. As Mr. Rosillo is coming to the podium, we have some exciting images to share with the board and community this evening. Gibraltar Design's been very busy in working with the administration on some new renderings and a little bit more finessed designs on Harney, Perryworth, and the new elementary school. So excited to share that with you this evening. Mr. Dennis and I are continuing to engage with Schmidt and Associates on middle school, high school, so we'll keep the board apprised of that. And as you're aware, we've been doing some of the pre-bid on the mechanical engineering and plumbing for Perryworth, Harney, and the new elementary, as we have one-year lead times on many of the HVAC systems. So we've released those bids here in the last couple weeks. So we'll have some information coming your way later in the meeting for that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Rosillo.
Thank you, Dr. Mellon. Mr. Parks, President, and members of the board, Zach, Mr. Dennis, thank you for allowing me to present to you updates for the new elementary projects we're working on. Tonight, I'm going to present to you designs for the new elementary school. I'm not sure, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but tonight will be the first time it presented to you.
I might have snuck them 2 little snippets
Yeah,
in a text
okay.
message just because I couldn't help it
Okay.
last week.
And then I'm also going to give you some updates on Harney and Perryworth design. So I know you've seen those, but we'll give you some design updates. All 3 projects are developing in design, and we're getting to the point now where we can start to put construction drawings together and turn it over to our partner, Meyer Nation, to put it out on the street. This first slide here, I want to add to it. School facility will provide students an enriched environment for enhanced learning, opportunity, and achievement. When Mr. Dennis first started with us, he made a statement in the very first meeting that resonated with our team. Each of these school buildings will provide the same opportunity for every student in Lebanon Community Schools, no matter what the address is. That's resonated with us, and as we design each building, we think about how we're doing the other buildings. We don't want to be designing a program different for all 3 of these buildings. All 3 schools are being designed for 600 students, and a couple of them are being designed for future expansion up to maybe 750, 800 students. So we're going to show you that tonight. Program, each school will have the same program for 600 students, the same number of classrooms, same types of spaces in the building. We've gone through a number of meetings with administrative team, principals, school principals, and we've worked through the layouts of each of the classrooms and the furniture and how each of the spaces are to be utilized. Again, the same for each of the schools. The new elementary school. We'll start with the overall site plan. As you look at the site plan here, the master plan, the lower 20 acres of the lot is basically designated for the new elementary school. And that will include everything for the building, circulation patterns, and to the north of that is land available for future development, whether that's another building in the district, another school, whether it's a transport, whatever it is, there's land available for that. Access to the new elementary school, though, as you can see the long road that runs along John Bart. This is a road on the campus where parents can actually bring their kids to school and pick them up after school without having traffic back out onto John Bart. So that there's enough queuing on the campus for 130 to 140 parents double queuing on this road as they wind around the parking lot. There's also plenty, we've also reviewed with the city the site design as far as the parking requirements, so this all represents requirements required by the school and also an agreement with the city. A little bit closer look at the campus. The building footprint, as you see here, includes a future expansion of a couple of classrooms. You can see a little bit closer the circulation patterns in blue are where the buses drop off students on the west side of the campus, and then parents are separated from bus traffic on the east side. Parents have the option of either exiting on Fordyce or going back out north and exiting onto John Bart. So we've got a couple options there. As you look at this plan, the dark green area on the west side of the property, that's a detention area, so stormwater management happens on that side. That's the lowest part of the site, so that's where all that happens. Close look at the floor plan. You can see where the classrooms are in 3 pods, I'll call that. The lower pod could be the lower grade levels from kindergarten, first grade classrooms. The pod to the right could be the intermediate grades 2 and 3, and then the older kids are on a pod to the north, grades 4 and 5. Each pod will have a central area that has workspaces, small group instruction, restrooms for each of those pods. To the left of the classroom wing are your spaces like the gymnasium, cafeteria, kitchen. Your building deliveries and service are back there where the kitchen are in the dark gray areas on the floor plan. The office or administration area is in front of the building. Just like all your schools, you'll have a secured entry through the office area as a visitor comes to the building. Spaces like your art, music, STEM are grouped together near the office and cafeteria areas. Exterior of the building. As we start to develop the design for the exterior, the intent is the building needs to be timeless. It needs to fit in with the community. We didn't want to have something to go in there that just was way off with the community around the campus here. So what you're about to see here are some examples of what the exterior is going to look like. If you're looking at the new elementary from Fordyce, from a distance you can see the building. It's a combination of a low slope and slope roof structure at the entrances. A view from John Bart Road. And then as you get closer to the front of the building, you can see that there will be a canopy with like a gable roof on there, again mimicking some of the architecture in the surrounding community. And then behind that, you start to see a higher volume where the student commons area is. That's going to have a lot of natural daylighting into the student common area or socialization space as you come into the building. And as you look at some of the elements of the exterior, it's a brick facade. There'll be some delineation with the exterior design with different colored brick. We haven't got the exact colors yet. That's to come, but you can get a sense where the different materials are on the building. Some accents maybe above the windows where we're either proposing a metal panel or an exterior insulation finish system. That needs still yet to be determined based on the budget as we refine the budget. So some of those materials may be more costly than others, so we'll make sure we're staying within the budget when we select those materials. Another view is you're coming into the front of the building. The canopy comes out far enough so as visitors come up to the building, you're somewhat protected from the elements before they actually enter the building. Some interior views as you come into the main entry. The two-story commons area, like I was talking, will have some windows up high to allow natural daylighting. Acoustical ceilings suspended. There'll be some acoustical wall treatment in this space. Keep down on some of the hard materials will be pretty noisy, so you want to make sure you control acoustics that way. Classrooms, again, pretty typical for all the schools. Loose furniture, display. Every classroom will have a window with views to the exterior. There are no interior classrooms in this building that do not have windows. In fact, we'll talk a little bit more about Harney because we were able to resolve that as well. Here's a view of what the new cafeteria may look like. Again, tables, loose furniture, windows that look out into the commons area, and then a stage. The stage is dual access. By that I mean it's accessible from both the gym and the cafeteria, so you can use it for, it's a very flexible space. You can use it for either side. The gymnasium, it's an elementary school gym. It's approximately the same size as the gym at Perryworth. That's an elementary gym with a little bit larger floor, so you can have assemblies for up to 700 students, 700 or 800 students in both the bleachers and on the chairs on the floor. So all school assemblies can happen there. Wood floor, exposed structure. You'll have concrete block construction with some acoustical treatment. And there's opportunities as well to put windows or daylighting into the gym. This is a common area. As you walk into the building a little further, you can actually see into the media center through some windows, or opposite that, you see there will be windows looking into the cafeteria. So it's going to be a very transparent space as you go in. It may feel even larger than what it is because of all the windows between the spaces. This is an example of what an extended learning area might look like. In the building, there'll be a corridor, and off the corridors, there's an area where there's a platform for extended learning. So a teacher could take maybe one or two kids out in this area, have a presentation, there'll be some technology on the wall. There'll be carpet around here so kids can sit on the floor while the teacher or whoever's providing a presentation. Harney. Updates on Harney. Again, we worked out with the city parking, and we worked out what parent queuing is happening along Camp and Hoy. Both of those streets, as you know, we're going to make those streets wider so parents can actually queue up and not block traffic on the streets, then wind around in the parking lot on the west side of the school. You can see, this one here shows a little bit better. The additions onto Harney are in orange. So you've got the main entrance, the office area is expanded. The existing gym is being repurposed into classrooms with some natural daylighting. I'll show you the images, how we're doing that. So 4 new classrooms plus storage and small group instruction is all being filled in that area. So we were able to also relocate kindergarten classrooms to the south side of the building, closer to where the new buses or the new bus drop-off is. So by repurposing those very large classrooms, we're able to come up with some nice-sized classrooms and not have to add additional classrooms onto this building. It's all a matter of just repurposing a little bit differently than what you have. And then we show the gymnasium on this site as well. As you come up to the front of Harney, the office addition is all new, so that's going to all, you're going to see all new construction there, a new entry, and we'll work the canopy that's up there to be a little bit different than what's now, a little bit more modern. And then we're also going to look at, I mean, you've got things that work really well. The bones on Harney work really well. By that I mean the bricks and mortar. There's no need to replace windows. You don't have to build new exterior walls. Basically, a little bit of we're going to propose staining some of the brick, so the stain on that existing brick matches the color of the new brick addition, so that all will tie in together. So when you're looking at it, you won't know. Basically, you're not going to really recognize the existing building when it's all said and done. We're also going to be painting the existing metal fascias around the existing building. A view from the intersection of Garfield and Camp Street off from a distance, before and after. Here's a view of the parent drop-off for the cafeteria, the existing cafeteria. We're adding some additional windows, a little bit more daylight into the cafeteria. I'll show a picture of that where the ceilings are high in the cafeteria, so you get some really nice views and daylighting into that space. This is also the area where the parents drop off the kids in the morning at this entry here. Stepping back from that same view, you get to see the new gym addition. Again, that's the brick is going to match what's happening on the front of the building. I don't know the color yet. The lighter color on top of the brick will either be what I call EIFS, which is an acronym for Exterior Insulation Finishing System, or it may be metal panel. Again, that's yet to be determined. And some of the metal panel that we have on the front of the building will bring around to this event entry as well. And you can see a little bit that dark spot with canopy is shown will be the event entry. Some interior views. The picture on the bottom right is your existing lobby reimagined. It basically has a slope structure like you have now, but it also opens up and you'll have views into the new STEM lab that's located right there in the corner. You can see where the glass is. So it's going to be very, again, transparent between that entry and into that STEM lab. So you can imagine some high-tech space and you can see the learning happening as you come into the building. And another view of that same corner in the upper left. Again, some views from this inside the STEM lab, looking out into the common area. Views of the gym. You can see it's not a whole lot different than the new gym you're going to have at the new elementary school. This one will have a stage as well. View of the cafeteria. Cafeteria will have higher ceiling, I call them clouds. They're basically just areas of ceiling that are floating from underneath the structure. You can see the structure up. So it gives a nice airiness, floating feeling to it. Classrooms. Harney had a lot of, if you remember, some of you might remember some of the classrooms in there have a lot of columns in the classrooms, and those are something we had to work around. We don't normally put columns in classrooms, but here the existing cabinetry is being worked a little differently, so the teachers have full views of the cubbies. So you don't have these peninsula cabins coming out where the kids cannot be seen behind that. So all the cabinetry is open to the classroom. So you can see on the right of the columns are instructional area, and to the left are where kids congregate Here's a view of the internal classrooms where the old gym is. So these classrooms will have daylighting from above. So those windows are above the adjacent roof, so all that natural light will come into the classroom. So each of those classrooms will have natural light. So they may not have views to the outside, but they actually have light. And it should feel pretty nice in there. Harry Worth, same thing. We've worked out the parking and parent drop-off to the campus. In red are the cars, and then the bus traffic is down to the west, southwest of the school. Additions on the west and north of Harry Worth. Let me go back to that here too. You can see like the city has some plans for the intersection there, so we made sure that we're staying, just like Harney, we're staying away from that intersection for future development. I'll call this phase one. This is phase one of Harry Worth that shows a design for 600 students. You can see where the classrooms stop, and there's an area at that corner where there's nothing happening. To the right of the existing cafeteria is a cafeteria expansion, a new kitchen. And then in the plan itself, all the classrooms are basically the same as what they are now. The only thing that's changing is the equipment that goes in those spaces, as well as every door in the classroom, just like all your schools. The doors to the classrooms are going to swing into the classroom. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but that's what they do here. So those are some things that are changing, and that's happening because of security and how that's being prepared. Some exterior. Right, this is a view on the side of the site where the public really doesn't see this view, and that's where the future addition is going to come in. Some of the enhancements on the exterior include a new roof, different color probably than the existing color that's there now. Some new paint on the fascia. The existing brick and the windows, I believe, are all the same as what they are now. Here's the corner of the building's filled in when it turns to the 750 school. That corner will be filled in. So those flat roofs that you saw in the previous image will go away, and that corner will be filled in. Interior. Cafeteria. The cafeteria will be enlarged, and we'll have a higher ceiling. And in the foreground is where the cafeteria is going to be. I'm sorry, the kitchen. Some classroom views. Again, same amount of casework, window treatment, furniture. So, yeah, that's where we are with the design. We're really excited, and we're getting close. And on behalf of Minor Nation and Gibraltar, thank you for allowing us to present to you tonight. Were there any questions?
Questions from the board?
It's a lot to take in, right?
Lots to take in.
Lots to take in.
There's a lot to take in, yeah. But so
Yeah.
we're not going anywhere. So anytime there are questions, we're here to help get through them. So.
Costs are still looking to be within range, or good.
Yeah, as far as we know, we're doing well with the budget so far. So, like I said, we still have to fine tune some things and make some adjustments based on what the budget is. Thank you.
So back to Perry work in regards to the 600 students to the 700 students, or 650 to 700, and that little addition that, in the first plan is not there. Is that based on budget, if we're going to complete it with the full 700 students, or why two different,
Based on
options there?
where we were working from in that 10-year window and capacity needed throughout the district. So we're actually probably adding a little bit more capacity by moving to the 3 600-student buildings at Perryworth, Harney, and the new elementary than we were at one point when we had a 700-student building planned for the new elementary. We're really actually adding a little bit more capacity north to south, if you will, throughout the district, knowing that we're going to be redrawing those attendance boundaries and hopefully addressing that and balancing those to the best we can, that enrollment. So really, we're still on track where we were from overall capacity in that 10-year planning window, but wanted to make at least 2 of these buildings expandable should we need to in the future. Great question.
Any other questions?
Thank you
very
Mr.
much.
Priscilla. Thank you.
Next item is consent agenda items. Dr. Millman.
Yes, for staff matters, thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I would be asking the board's approval of classified staff matters items 1 through 10. Certified item number 1 and extracurricular positions including track, tennis, boys golf at the middle school, and baseball, softball, track, tennis, and golf coaching positions at the high school. That's what I have for staff matters this evening.
So with that, I'll ask for a motion for consent agendas items A through C, classified items 1 through 10, certified item 1, and then the ECA.
I'll move for approval.
Mr. Clauser, you have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Jones? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now, I would like to
Now business.
officially make the announcement of the new Director of Communications, Lexi Britt Buis. Welcome. Would you like to come forward, maybe introduce yourself to the board? Perhaps. It's always wonderful when we can bring a alum of Lebanon High School back, and excited that Lexi's agreed to be part of our team. I know she's going to do an outstanding job. She's been engaged in communication within our community, as outlined in her bio, the board has, and very proud to bring her back home. So, Lexi, maybe an opportunity to introduce yourself to the board.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Lebanon is and always has been my home, and I am just looking forward to being able to give back to the community that's always given me so much. So I know we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're really going to showcase what makes Lebanon Community School Corporation the best around. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm so excited to be here.
Great. Official start date?
Monday. She can't
Monday.
start soon enough.
All right. Item number 7, business matters. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. As always, you have in your board packet this evening our monthly financial update, first page of which is our 13-month look at our month-end balances. Noteworthy on this, for the first time ever, will be a column in black, which is our brand new operating referendum fund. And so you'll notice, it's bringing on a new fund and then immediately bringing a negative light to it. It is driving into the negative for the first 6 months of the year. Of course, we don't get our revenue for property tax supported funds until June, and so despite being authorized to utilize those funds, the revenue for said funds don't come until June, and so that is why you see that black column driving into the negative for the first 6 months of this calendar year. Also bring light to the fact that it does appear that currently that fund has quite a healthy cash balance at the end of the year. Please understand that those are my cash flow projections, and the majority of the expenditures in this fund come on with next school year or August of this upcoming year, and the projection obviously cannot project expenditures that it does not currently have in them. So of course, once those projections become actuals with the increased expenditures in August, we will show much more of a zero-based budget in that operating referendum fund. Page 2 is our first look at the year of our pie chart that shows January of 23 compared to January of 22. Obviously, year-to-date of 23 and year-to-date of 22 is identical since we're just through 1 month, and the updated budget. And as promised at the last board meeting, the school corporation money for our referendum funds will always be approved in the claims. It's the building corporation funds that technically belongs to the building corporation and wouldn't otherwise be brought to the board. However, as I mentioned that I would do with every month of payments that come from building corp money, that I would provide you with the affidavit for payment. This will be the last month that you will receive 2 affidavits. We do have a cost of issuance fund that's always established when you issue lease rental agreements, and a construction fund. The cost of issuance is exactly as it sounds, paying lawyers, title fees, any type of assessment or survey, anything of that matter. But those funds have been expended as we have paid the last of our cost of issuance out, and so you will only get 1 affidavit from the construction fund on any given board meeting moving forward. So prior to the announcement of the claims, happy to answer any of the questions the board may have about this month's financial update.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Okay. No questions there. We'll go ahead and request approval of claims. We've got vouchers numbers 57176 through 57371 for a total of $2,349,088.08, and 3 payrolls for this board meeting: payroll of January 20th, February 3rd, and February 17th, and that amount comes to $2,966,595.14 for a total of $5,315,683.22.
Did it. Did it.
Good
Well
feeling.
done.
It's
I
a
was
good
just
feeling.
Do we have a motion to approve claims for the 57176 through 57371 and payrolls for January 20th, February 3rd, and 17th?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Second by Hutchison. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We did miss an item. We'll go back to item 6.
I apologize. I'm batting 1,000 this evening for missed items.
I'm missing it too, so yeah.
On the personnel matters, I did have an information item. It's not routine for us to discuss information items during the consent agenda for staff matters, so I'll use that as my excuse this evening. Per Indiana statute, when a school district plans to post a position based on the new adjunct teacher law, we're required to share that at a public meeting of the governing board. So I'm sharing with the board this evening that we plan to post on the portal through the Indiana Department of Education an adjunct teaching position. We also are required to discuss this with the exclusive representative of the teachers, which for us is the LCTA. We did so at a recent meeting. This position will be posted for a position of our certified nursing assistant program. So this would be a teacher that would be brought on through this new law, which allows school districts to actually be the certification body. So we would be providing the teaching certificate for the teacher. Allows, in this case, the teacher to be hired as an at-will employee outside of the collective bargaining unit, which is one of the reasons, again, we're required to discuss that with the LCTA. So these are pretty rare occurrences, certainly for our district, to be the first adjunct position that we would be posting, but I'm fulfilling the statutory requirement by discussing it. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about the adjunct teachers or this particular position.
Any questions? Thank you. Next item is comments from the public. We have nobody signed up. Let's move on to action items. Item A, addendum to owner's rep contract. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. It was discovered as we began working with our owner's representative that the original agreement specifically stated that Mr. Delks would be working on our elementary projects that we have going on. With a person of his expertise and knowledge, we felt it to be honestly negligent on our part if we didn't extend his ability to work on any construction project that we may deem necessary to use his expertise for. So this addendum makes no change to any payment terms or anything like that. It is simply language that allows Mr. Delks to extend his services to any construction project that the district deems would benefit from his expertise on. So appreciate your approval of that addendum tonight. And Mr. Delks is in attendance this evening. I know he's not yet met the board. I don't know if
Drug
he'd
him
like
out
to
of
speak to the board.
retirement to be here this evening. About a week.
Well, welcome. Do we have a motion to approve this addendum? Mrs. Jones. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, request approval for construction contracts.
So I'll have, thank you. I'll have 6 contracts here that would request the board's approval on. We recently received bids for mechanical and electrical and plumbing equipment pre-purchase. The majority of these items are what they call long lead items. Some of these are up to 52 weeks of a lead time. And as obviously, Mr. Rosillo was here this evening and alluded multiple times to the fact that the construction documents are not yet done. They're getting there and certainly on schedule, but we're certainly far enough along to know what type of air handlers we will be utilizing, what type of boilers, what type of chillers, switch gear, things of that nature. However, if we waited until these particular drawings were ready to be bid for general construction, we're not going to be receiving those bids until May. And these 3 months between now and then are 90 days that we can't afford to not have these items on order, as many of these things are long lead items. So the 6 recommendations that I'll bring to you tonight are for the purchase of equipment. These were, of course, all publicly bid and received 2 weeks ago. And so we'll begin and just go in the order that your board packet is presented here. So the first contract that I would appreciate the board's approval for would be for Harney and Perryworth Elementary air-cooled liquid chillers to be awarded to Validated Custom Solutions. Their base bid for Harney Elementary was $127,000, and their base bid for Perryworth Elementary School was $367,700. We did request 2 alternates for that to extend a call it a bumper-to-bumper warranty for 10 years. Very unstandard in schools to purchase a 10-year warranty. 5 years comes with the base bid price, the manufacturer's warranty, and is standard. We just wanted to see what a 10-year warranty would cost, and we do not feel that it is worth accepting those alternates at this time. So I would appreciate the board's approval for Harney and Perryworth Elementary chillers to Validated Custom Solutions.
Do we have a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, Miss Hutchinson had you first. Had you beat. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Jones. Any comments, questions? I have a question. Seems to be a large difference in between 1 and 2 on the Perryworth Any explanation why?
The amount of square footage that's being added at Perryworth and Harney is
No, I'm talking the Perryworth bid. The bids themselves seem to be significantly
Oh.
different from one another.
Yes, that would be, I imagine, the manufacturer there for Perryworth Train. That many train chillers apparently cost that much more than what Validated Custom Solutions will be providing.
And that's the, I mean, not to jump ahead, but that was my same question, is on multiple bids that we have, that's the case. So it's just, everything was compared to be equal, it's just their pricing is that much higher.
That's correct. Name brand, I would imagine, for a lot of facets of our even personal lives. Same regard.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. The second is the one outlier of the evening in that this is both to supply materials and labor. So this is the cost to take out the existing chiller at Hattie B. Stokes and replace it with a new chiller. As you can see, 3 bids were received, very, very close for the first 2. Same deal with a 10-year warranty we didn't feel was worth the cost. So appreciate the board's approval for $844,700 to Lehman's of Anderson.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Hendricks?
I'll
Do we have a
second.
Mr. Clauser? Any questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Same. Motion passes.
Number 3 is for unit ventilators. Perryworth design does not call for any unit ventilators, so this will just be for Harney Elementary School. You are going to recommend the board approve a contract to Airtex Manufacturing, who is doing business as Engineered Air, for a total of $142,500. These are for unit ventilators at Harney Elementary.
Do we have a motion? Mr. Jones, do you have a second? Mrs. Hutchison, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next up is the HVAC pumps for both Harney and Perryworth Elementary. Our winning bidder was BBC Pumps and Equipment Company. At Harney, our pumps will cost $20,156, and at Perryworth Elementary, it will be $19,364.
Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Number 5 is for boilers and the accessories associated with it. At Harney Elementary, our winning bid was $30,000 to Validated Custom Solutions, and at Perryworth Elementary, it was also $30,000 awarded to Validated Custom Solutions. Appreciate the board approval of that contract.
Do we have a motion? Mrs. Jones, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
For this next one, I do need to state that we will not be taking the low bid for the interior central station air handling unit. Indiana Thermal Solutions was deemed to be a non-responsive bidder. In our bid packets, we state the timeline that these must be able to be delivered by, for reasons that I stated at the beginning of this. These long lead items, we need them, and the bidder specifically wrote into their bid that they submitted that despite the bid specifying when they must be received. They chose to submit a bid anyway, but said they could not meet the timeline. This has been deemed to be non-responsive. So Indiana Thermal Solutions, despite being the low bid, is going to be rejected because they are not a responsive bidder. Instead, Trane will be recommended to receive both of these contracts. At Harney Elementary, the interior central station air handler will be $170,620, and at Perryworth Elementary, it will be $358,120.
Do we have a motion? Second? Hutchison? Any questions? You did speak with legal counsel about
Absolutely.
that. I just want to make that note.
Why would they submit a proposal if they didn't meet the timeline?
Can't speculate.
Hope that nobody could, maybe. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes.
All right, last one is for electrical switchboard. There is no switchboard necessary at Harney, so this is only for Perryworth. I recommend awarding this contract to Eckert Supply in the amount of $105,075.54.
Do we have a motion to approve as? Do we have a second? Second. Mr. Hendricks? Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. This is just the beginning, right?
Yes, and in the future, we're currently out to bid for our softball project, which I'll state is not associated with the referendum bonds. Everything that was just approved is through the referendum bonds. So we are currently on the streets for softball, which will come from a different funding source than the referendum. And then 1 week from today, the structural steel packages. So much in the same way that MEP equipment is a very long lead item, structural steel is as well. So we'll be on the streets for the structural steel package at Harney and Perryworth 1 week from today.
Yeah. All right. Item 9C, approval of joint services agreement.
Thank you,
Millman.
Mr. Parks. Bringing to the board this evening, requesting your approval of our continuing engagement with Joint Services Special Education Cooperative. This is a 5-year agreement. As you see, this is not different in content than our current agreement, other than removing Northwest Hendricks. So now it is the Boone-Clinton Joint Services, not the Boone-Clinton Northwest Hendricks Joint Services. Few typos that we always find when we clean up contracts and agreements, but nothing of substantive change. As you know, we've engaged with Mr. Tom Bell, a consultant, in looking at our engagement with joint services based on the changing membership. The same clause as far as districts joining and or exiting joint services is unchanged. So there's still a 15-month requirement, lead time, et cetera, even though this is a 5-year contract. Those notifications for exiting, if a district would choose to do so, is unchanged in it. Be happy to answer any questions you may have. Other than that, I'm asking for approval of our continuing engagement in joint services.
Do we have a motion for approval of joint services agreement with the Boone-Clinton?
It's hard to not say the right.
It is. Yeah. Joint service. Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. Any additional questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item D, approval of SPN agreement.
I think you might recall at least a couple of the school board members met Dr. Linda Jordan, who's been working with our district at that time through a group called ICLE. As we pointed out to the board, has shifted to Successful Practices Network, although the personnel working with our staff is unchanged. And so this is to finish out this year with an engagement with them for the remaining coaching done in our district.
So do we have a motion to approve the joint, the SPN agreement?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clauser, do you have a second? Mrs. Hutchison, any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have approval Indiana Construction Roundtable MOU.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am asking approval from the board this evening of this MOU.
This continues our engagement, great work by Mrs. Scott, and continuing that engagement with him. And also, this would come with $1,000 to help us with our career engagement program and to help foster those relationships. Should have put in my announcements and celebrations this evening that through Mrs. Scott's and Mr. Vaughn's continued great work in the district, we did present to the Lebanon RDC this past week. As you may know, the Lebanon RDC is helping to support our career engagement program through financial support from the RDC funds. And the engagement with them for a 4-year run of $100,000 per year had reached its end. And happy to report that the RDC re-engaged for another 4 years of support, but upped their commitment to $125,000 for each of those 4 upcoming years. And so that's kudos to Mrs. Scott, Mr. Vaughn, and all their hard work, and my thanks, and I have already sent thanks on the board's behalf to the RDC for that. So congratulations to her. I would also ask that in the motion this evening that we do allow Mrs. Scott to sign that engagement letter, as she's the one that's noted on that letter.
All right. Yes, it was quite amazing, just out of the blue, up by 25,000 a year. It was excellent. So with that, do we have a motion to approve and allow Mrs. Scott to sign the MOU with the Indiana Construction Roundtable? Mr. Jones, do we have a second? Mrs. Hutchison, any additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have a United Way donation from Harney Elementary.
Yes, very pleased to bring this to you this evening, and award from United Way in the amount of $5,000 to Harney to help engage our parents. Harney plans to use this with literacy nights. We all know how important early literacy is to our students and families, and to give those tools to the parents to be able to help support their child's reading journey at home is really what we're going to be focusing on and using these funds for. So congratulations to Dr. Dye and her team for both applying for it and winning the grant, and would like to ask the board's approval for that this evening.
That's 2 big donations within the past couple meetings, right? Congratulations. You keep rolling in the money now, right? So we have a do we have a motion to approve a United Way donation to Harney Elementary?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clauser, any questions? Nope. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Don't think there'd be any. Motion passes. Next is approval of Alexi Pool agreement.
There you go.
I'm not going to ask you to spray it next time.
Our policy for public safety through Lexipol is about 530-some policies, and I promise not to spend any more than about 10 minutes on each one of them, so I'll try to make this pretty quick. And all joking aside, though, the majority of the board, if not all of you, weren't here when it was approved the first time. So quick history. Lexipol is a public safety policy management group. It was developed and started by a couple of attorneys that specialize in public safety representation and risk management. We signed on our original agreement in August of 2018. The school board then approved the monies for us to have Lexipol come and help build our department police policy, knowing that it was going to be just enough money to build the policy. When that year expired, we canceled the policy. That being said, in the last 2-3 years, there's been some major changes to police policy. The last couple of the biggest ones were use of force and pursuit driving. De-escalation has become a mandate and things such as that. So I'm here to ask that if at all possible, we can resubscribe to Lexipol. I know the Lebanon Police Department uses Lexipol, the Sheriff's Department does, Whitestown, Zionsville at one time did. So it's a pretty common management group across the country. I would like to resubscribe so we can, number one, get our current policy up to date. And our representatives tells me it's going to be 4 to 6 hours of sitting there rewriting policy to get us up to date. And then I'm also asking that we can maintain this subscription so we can protect our officers, protect our corporation, protect the community, help build trust with our community. Policies are huge. I know the corporation's bound by policies, and Lexipol's kind of our Neola. And they manage it, they update it, they send out updates to us constantly. We have the opportunity through this subscription to issue daily training bulletins. I don't know if Officer Hendricks, Board Member Hendricks, knows much about those, but it's a great way to send out a policy. They send out 1 or 2 policies a week or 1 or 2 a day. The officer has to read, educate themselves on it, and then they have to test on it. And it's a daily thing, so it's an officer buy-in type part of the policy to where they understand the policies, and plus 2, they open up the book once in a while and actually see what the policies are. And the policies govern everything from search and seizure to arrest to evidence handling to vehicles to uniforms to tattoos. I mean, it covers everything. I know you did not probably, I don't think, I don't know if you were part of the board then or not, but I would like to
Probably your first year.
resubscribe to Lexipol for, again, our protection, the school's protection, and our community's protection, and then to build trust and maintain trying times. We've had a lot of things go on in schools, and some of those who had policies were protected, and some of those who didn't have very good policies are losing a lot of things in civil litigation. So if at all possible, I would like to, at this time, ask that maybe we could approve getting resubscribed and then maintain that subscription for our own protections. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a request for master services agreement with Lexipol. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions?
Do we know if, have we talked to insurance to see if this gives us any sort of break on premiums?
Should be. Oh, yeah, we should definitely have that answer. I believe our representation should have that answer.
Then two questions. One, what's been brought before us is just a 1-year type framework contract. Is there additional contract for ongoing years that may be discounted? Or
This will just
what
be
is this?
renewed annually. This is the same, I'm pretty sure this is the same price as it was when we first signed up in 18. So they just send out basically an invoice on an annual basis to re-up. When we canceled the first time, it was kind of a common practice for very small police departments to do that, kind of, ones that may not have the budget to maintain. But these times that we live in now, I ask for the protection for our officers and our departments. So if we can maintain that on an annual basis, if you would like, I'll come back each year and ask again. But I would like to maintain and keep this going.
And then the second question on that, so as part of the fees that we are paying, are they monitoring and managing the daily email or daily
Training bulletins?
that are sent out and they're being completed? Is that part of the
Yes,
agreement?
it's a set, consistent program that they set up, and you can either pass them on to your officers or not pass them on. You can send them all out. You can send part of them out. You can do it daily, weekly, but they manage that. They manage the updates. They make sure that when something needs to be changed in our policy, we get those updates, and we can either sign off, change it to the new, alter it to fit especially fits us or decline it. But they do all the hard work, basically. I mean, it took us 5 or 6 months to build this, but the daily training bulletins are all part of that as well. And if there's ever any litigation or problem on our policy, they'll go with us. Their attorneys will go with us to fight for their policy as well.
So then that kind of brings up a third question, I
No.
apologize. So the daily training bulletins, weekly, however you're doing those, if they're monitoring them and they're finding that they're not being completed, or they, you know, by
That is-
several, or how, I mean, because that, you're going back to responsibility, and so who, I want to make sure that we, as school corporation.
Okay, I may have misunderstood your question. They are the ones that sent us those bulletins. We pass them out. We monitor,
Okay.
I monitor
Okay.
the
Okay.
participation. And if someone's not participation, then that might be a problem for some discipline or some
Okay.
re-education or something.
For legal purposes as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
No, I would think that's right. And to Mr. Clauser's point, I don't know about the insurance question, but certainly and unfortunately, I have been deposed. And certainly a district, whether it be teachers or whether it be police officers, if you have documentation that training has occurred and it's ongoing and it's current, you are in a better position. So, very good questions.
So I do have a question. How often will you revise our policy? And what is that formal process look
It's
like?
ongoing.
It's ongoing?
They all, like I said, they do most of the hard work. They are state-specific. When state legislation in Indiana changes the law or tweaks something, they're usually know ahead of time. And then when it's finalized or when it becomes law, they send that out to us. It's on a constant, continual basis.
Chief Smith, I would request then that when we sit down with the representatives and you make those alterations to our policies, it'd be advantageous to bring that back to the board.
Sure.
For approval, because I think there'll be substantive changes to that policy. Then we'll talk with legal as well about whether that needs to be an annual approval, much like you do the student handbooks. Perhaps it should be, even though I think, we do report it to the state and just submit it and it's approved through that process. But let's put that on our notepad too, something to follow back up on. But if we're gonna be changing that substantive policy, we should get it reapproved by the board.
Be more than happy to
Yep.
come back and ask for approval, but I want to get up to date and I want to
Yep.
maintain our policies, the best practices, and update as much as we can.
And it does have automatic renewal clause in it. It does, so.
Typically on items like this, such as Neola, unless this contract would change and they would propose a new agreement to us, we'd have it reviewed by legal, and then if it is enough change that from the original, we would bring it back to the board. Otherwise, it's been practice to just continue that engagement from the original board approval.
All right. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a food service donation.
$1,875.02 to Airwood Food Service to cover negative lunch balances. And in the back a little bit, it's significant by far the most of our parents are playing by the rules and playing big accounts. There are a handful that are not. And we're, because there's so many benefactors that have been donating to the Angel Fund, this one just very hurt by their request. But we also have the Angel Fund that's standing up there doing it's prepared to cover the negatives if we need to do that. But most of the parents are paying their share of food, they got their allocation, they pay for lunches. And if the kids are negative balance, they don't get to buy the cookie bag, they get extra food, they don't approved reimbursables, what the food service people call it, meals, but they add up. That's because $1,800 and
75.50. So we have a motion to approve this donation in the amount of $1,875.52.
I'll move.
Oh,
Someone beat me to it.
all right. Mr. Clauser, do you have a second? Mrs. Jones. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is Lebanon Leprechauns facility use contract.
I believe we have two copies, one that shows my edits and one that is ready for your review. One that shows my edits has some red in it. What I removed.
Redundant items being the 4-hour session. We never used the 4-hour sessions. We did put it in just in case. It took them 4 hours to start and finish a situation, but we never saw that necessary last year. And the other was having to do with exclusive use of Aramark for food. It is not in any contract anywhere that requires that, so we didn't leave that in here. We offer, Aramark offers food services for them if they wish to engage them. It seemed like there was one third item that was in there. I think it was just a typo. I found, oh yes, and payments. I did not have a payment schedule on them last year. This year there is a split payment schedule of 4 games, 5 games, 5 games, so that they'll split their payment across the season.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the Lebanon Leprechauns facility use contract? Mrs. Hutchison, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser, do we have any comments, questions?
I do.
Okay.
So I think, comment-wise, it was great last year, great for the community, it was well received. What, how did the contract benefit us, so to say? I mean, did we lose, did we gain? I mean, are we being compensated for the uses of our facilities?
The people are break even for sure, and some of those people probably was helped by having that opportunity to be paid outside of what we would as a school corporation be employing them for. As for a school district, I don't know of any situation that we would have been negatively affected. I could ask Mr. Levine. He was pretty much, yep, there we go. There's a hand in this crowd. Do you mind?
That went directly to the athletic department and Derby's.
Mr. Levine, were the shot clocks also provided by them? Was that correct, or? Okay, I was gonna say that was a benefit as well.
There was some last year discussion of the Hickory being their immediate or destination or final home, and at that point they thought maybe that place would be part of this season here and part there. But if I understand right, there's not actually a stadium with seating, right? Do you know? It's Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of Cedar Point trip.
Oh, I forgot which item you just said. I couldn't hear you.
Cedar Point.
Cedar Point. Well, technically it is a Cedar Point trip, but it's actually Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is the educational component of this. Cedar
Okay.
Point sounds like a trip that's all just fun, but it's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base / Cedar Point. Your agenda item just doesn't say both items.
Okay.
May 18th and return the 19th. Middle school, 8th grade.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do you have a second? Mrs. Hutchison, any questions? Right, Pat's great. Cedar Point's even more fun, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion passes. Next, we have LHS DECA trips.
Seems just real recently that I did talk about DECA State, but I think that was truly last year. March 5th through the 7th, the DECA would like to go down in Indianapolis and spend the night at the Marriott each of those nights and compete state competitions.
Do we have a motion to approve this trip?
All motion.
Mr. Hendricks, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have Charisma overnight trip.
I thought there was another DECA International.
It was in the same motion.
It was in the same motion.
item. so
Got
was
it.
the
All right.
international.
Perfect. So the
Assuming
international.
The board assumed they approved it all,
Yes.
so.
Just for the clarity, it's 422 and to 25.
Yes, for the
and
international
Yes.
trip as well.
Orlando.
Yes.
All right, my Charisma, I'll come back here. Charisma, 2024, March 13th through the 17th. That is the one we're on, right?
Yes,
Okay,
it
good
is.
deal. And the request is being planned so that they can start budget and fundraising. Charisma, out of state to New York.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve this trip? Do we have a second? Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Last item is Perry Worth.
Fourth grade Camp Tecumseh, May 4th and 5th. Request from Mrs. Puckett at Perry Worth. Earthship Journey overnight trip.
Do we have a motion to approve this overnight trip to Camp Tecumseh for Perry Worth?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Hendricks. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next upcoming board meetings, our next regular board meeting is March 21st. And just note, March 24th, no school. Spring break, then it's hard to believe it's already there. March 27th through 31st. With that, we'll